New water taxes are coming for the likes of large golf courses, country clubs and desalination plants in Singapore. Come 2025, the National Water Agency will impose a waterborne tax and a conservation tax on private water suppliers and harvesters that have tanks that can hold more than 350 cubic meters of water. That is enough to fill about 26,000 pails. These private water suppliers, or PWS, harvest rainwater or desalinate seawater. The waterborne tax will be imposed for the water that they use and they sell. The water conservation tax, however, will only apply to water supplied for sale by private desalination plants. Senior Minister of State for Sustainability and Environment, Koh Poh Koon, says it's about ensuring water security and sustainable growth in the country's private water supply.
PWS provide water that is fit for purpose, which allows for the more efficient use of water. Nonetheless, to ensure overall water resilience, PUB is still expected to maintain sufficient reserve capacity and be ready to ramp up water production. Furthermore, PUB must develop and maintain sufficient capacity in our sewer network and water reclamation plants to collect and treat used water from PWS and their customers. So on this basis, the same principles of water conservation and the same contribution towards the national used water system should apply to PWS, just like how they apply to all other water users. We need to ensure that the growth of the private supply of water remains sustainable.
Dr. Koh also sought to allay MPs' concerns about the impact this would have on the sector and on customers, and what the agency is doing to avoid the perils that plagued Singapore's open electricity market. It says the taxes would be gradually phased in, and the intent is to keep the sector small. It currently supplies about 1% of the total water demand in Singapore.
When the impositions of the water borne tax, WBT and WCT, have an adverse impact on PWS, discouraging them from the provisions of their services.
We acknowledge that the charges will add to the PWS's operating costs. To address Mr. Gan's concerns and help PWS cope with the transition, PUB will only implement the charges in early 2025 instead of immediately, and adopt a phased approach to implement the charges.
How does PUB plan to make sure that by allowing more PWS, we ensure that it does not go the way of the open electricity market, where a number of small companies could not sustain their operations and customers were affected?
Keeping private water supply small would be an important safeguard and manages the enterprise risk for our water system as a whole. If the PWS sector were to grow multifold, the PWS sector would place significantly more risk on our water system, and PUB would then need to provision for and invest in more capacity to ramp up production in case of any disruption faced by the PWS or cessation of supply.